All right, today we are diving into something pretty dark. It's a concept from our source material that, if you really think about it, completely flips our entire world on its head. It suggests that our place in the universe is so different from what we've been told. We're about to explore a really disturbing possibility. Right out of the gate, the source material just hits you with this. No pulling punches. The Earth is not a good place. It's a farm. Just let that sink in for a second. It's not our home. It's not the cradle of civilization. It's a resource, a farm. And that's really the core idea here. What if all the conflict, the hate, the chaos we see every day, what if it isn't some tragic flaw of humanity? What if it's the system working perfectly, by design, for a purpose that is just horrifying? So let's get into how this whole thing supposedly works.
Okay, so if the Earth is a farm, how would you even do that? How do you contain an entire world? Well, according to our source, the first piece of this terrifying puzzle is that our world is quite literally a prison, a completely self-contained terrarium.
The mechanism for this prison is pretty wild. The idea is that there's a machine at the North Pole, and it's generating this powerful containment field. And listen, this is not a metaphor. The source describes it as a real physical density layer, an unbreakable cage that keeps all of us locked inside.
And here's a look at the full structure kind of laid out. You've got us right here on the Earth plane. Then you have the central machine that's generating the whole field. That field becomes the walls and ceilings of our prison. And then, and this is the craziest part, above all of that, a giant mega ocean.
This is what makes the trap so perfect, so diabolical. Because let's say we get advanced enough to find the machine and decide to destroy it, to break free. Well, the very act of freeing ourselves would doom us. The field collapses and that mega ocean comes crashing down, crushing everything. There's literally no way out. So you gotta be asking yourself, who would build a prison like this? An elaborate, inescapable trap? And more importantly, why? Well, this next part reveals the absolutely shocking answer.
The answer is so simple, and that's what makes it so chilling. The beings in charge of this whole terrarium, they aren't conquerors. They aren't gods in the way we think of them. According to the source, their role is way more practical than that. They're farmers.
And if they're the farmers, well, you know what that makes us, right? We're not citizens or subjects. We aren't even slaves. We are the livestock. The product being grown on this planet is us. We're the harvest.
And don't think this is something new. No way. The source is very clear. This system, this farm, has been running for millennia. It's an ancient, well-established, and terrifyingly efficient operation that's been farming generation after generation of human beings.
But think about it. How do you manage a farm with billions of thinking, feeling creatures? You can't just put up a barbed wire fence. You need something more insidious, more clever. This next section explains the tools they use to keep their livestock, us, under control. The main tool is just pure deception. We look at our ancient, sacred texts as a source of wisdom, of divine guidance, but this theory reframes them as something else entirely. Control manuals, instruction books designed and given to humanity by the farmers themselves, not for enlightenment, but for manipulation. And what's the point of these manuals? What are they designed to produce? Well, exactly what we see all around us. Division, fighting, hatred. They're engineered to make sure we never ever get on the same page. Because a population that's busy fighting itself is easy to control. A united one? Well, a united one might start noticing the walls of the prison.
Okay, but what if the plan fails? What if, despite all the infighting, humanity actually gets too smart, too advanced? Well, the system has a final, brutal contingency plan for that. A great big reset switch.
See, the number one rule on this farm is control. The very second humanity gets advanced enough to become a potential threat, to maybe discover the machine or figure out the true nature of reality, that's when the reset gets triggered. Progress is only allowed up to a certain point and no further. And the reset itself is described as this systematic, cataclysmic event. You have massive volcanic eruptions that block out the sun, which plunges the entire world into a deep freeze. The air gets filled with poison. It's basically a planetary extinction event designed to wipe the slate clean, to cull the herd, so the whole farming process can start all over again with a much more primitive and controllable population.
And this is maybe the most chilling part. The source material just observes, almost casually, that when you stop thinking about Earth as a home and start seeing it as a farm, these horrifying resets actually start to seem logical. It just makes sense as a farming method.
So that's where this whole dark idea leaves us. It paints a picture of a world where our greatest triumphs could actually trigger our own doom, and where our most sacred beliefs might just be tools to keep us in our pen. And it leaves us with this one final, lingering question. What happens to a farm when the livestock starts to think?